yesterday I have given you one particular homework. Okay, that is to convert Q by A is equal to 0.001127 K by mu delta P by delta L. That is to derive this conversion factor. Has everybody done this particular question? Has everybody done this particular question, guys? See, some students have doubts regarding this particular conversion. See, one thing that you need to remember is, whenever we are discussing Darcy's law, that is in CGS units, that is Q by A is equal to K by mu delta P divided by delta L. Okay, when all the units are in CGS system, okay, when all the units are CGS system, you don't need a unit conversion factor because all the units will cancel each other out. That's not the case in field units. Okay, in field units, see guys, to get this particular conversion factor, we need to assume everything is in field units, that is Q is in barrel per day. Okay, A is in feet square, permeability is in millidarcy, viscosity is in centipoise, this is in PSI, this is in feet. Okay, by converting each and every unit to that is CGS system, all the units will cancel out. If you can see right now, no unit is being cancelled out. Okay, no unit is being cancelled out. So to cancel all the units, to cancel all these particular units, you need to convert each and every unit to CGS system. See guys, whenever we are converting barrel per day to centimeter per second, in this particular case, see, 1 barrel per day, that is equal to 1 barrel is equal to 0.6146 feet cube. This is 24 hours, 60 minutes and 60 seconds. That is 5.6146 into 100 centimeter is equal to 3.28 feet. That is 1 feet is equal to 0.0328 whole cube centimeter cube divided by 24 into 60 into 60. Okay, so if you substitute this, that is centimeter cube per second, it should 100 divided by 3.28. This one will become 1 feet to centimeter, that will be 26.3. 1 feet is equal to 100 by 3.28 centimeter. Okay, see, while converting it, see, this particular 1 barrel per day is equal to 26.3 whole cube into 5.6146, 24 into 60 into 60. That is 1.182 centimeter cube per second. Okay, guys, you need to remember this. Q barrel per day is equal to Q into 1.182 centimeter per second. Okay, when you are substituting in the above formula, the Q that we are assuming is in barrel per day. Okay, so whenever we are substituting it in the equation, we need to substitute the Q value in barrel per day. Okay, we are just converting the outer units to the centimeter cube per second so that it will cancel out. Okay, similarly, A feet square to centimeter square, 1 feet. 1 feet is equal to 100 by 3.28 whole square centimeter square. (929.5 centimeter square). Similarly, K millidarcy is equal to 10 to the power minus 3 Darcy. You don't have to change the centipoise units, that is the viscosity units. Whereas you need to change the delta P PSI. 1 atmosphere is equal to 14.7 PSI. So 1 PSI, delta P PSI is equal to delta P divided by 14.7 atmosphere. 1 feet is equal to 100 by 3.28 centimeter. That is delta L feet is equal to delta L into 100 divided by 3.28 centimeter. That is 30.4 delta L into 30.5 centimeter. Okay, by substituting all these things in the above equation, see, centimeter cube, Darcy, atmosphere, centimeter square and centimeter, everything will get cancelled out. Okay, and we will get the conversion factor. So the final answer will be Q into 1.182. A is in 929.5. 10 power minus 3 K Darcy. Viscosity in centipoise, you don't have to think much about it. Delta P divided by 14.7 into 30.5 L. So that is 929.5 divided by 1.182 into 14.7 into 30.5. That is Q by A is equal to 10 power minus 3 into 107. K by mu delta P by delta. That is 0.0001127. Okay, the last units are not much importance, guys. So you don't need to worry. So you need to do very carefully. Even one small mistake can change the answer. Okay. So this is how we will do it. See guys, in this particular equation, Q is in barrel per day, A is in feet square, K is in millidarcy, viscosity is in centipoise, delta P is in PSI, and delta L is in feet. Okay. See, what we are doing is we are first taking all the units in. First we are taking all the units in field. We are converting into CGS units so that everything will cancel out. Okay, you should not do reverse. That means generally some students have sent me the answers, guys. The main thing that they have done wrong is what they have done was Q by A is equal to K by mu delta P by delta L. First they have taken the question in centimeter, that is in CGS units. Okay, they have converted each variable to field. Okay, so the answer that they are getting is reverse, which is wrong. Okay, in this particular scenario, what they are doing is, consider A is the conversion factor, which will be equal to 1 by 0.001127. Okay, what they are doing is, see, they are converting CGS units to this. In the initial stages only, the units are being cancelled out. You don't have to change it. Okay, what they are doing is they are changing each to field units, after which they are not being cancelled out. Okay, what they have done is they have done reverse it. Okay, which is wrong. Guys, do anybody have any doubts in this particular conversion derivation? Okay, if you see, suppose guys, let us consider a particular question has been given. Okay, where they have given each Q is in, consider gallon per minute. They have arbitrarily defined a new system. Instead of field units, they have defined a new system and they have asked you to find the conversion factor. This is your question, guys. Do it when you are free. Inches, see, Q is in gallon per minute, A is in inches square, viscosity is in centipoise, that's okay. Delta P is in Pascal. Delta P is in Pascal. K is in Darcy. Okay, you need to find the conversion factor. See, length is in also inch. Q by A is equal to dash. This is the conversion factor, K by mu, delta P by delta A. Consider this is a new system that has been defined. So you need to find the conversion factor for this particular question. So first what you need to do is, you need to change each unit, gallon per minute, to centimeter cube per second, inch square to centimeter square. Darcy you don't have to change, centipoise you don't have to change, length, that is pressure, you need to change from Pascal to atmosphere. Okay, give me the conversion factor. This is your homework for tomorrow. Okay, it is very, very, very important to know how to change the questions. See, when you are changing it from gallon per minute, the one that you need to substitute in Q, will be gallon per minute only. Okay, don't worry guys, we will do some numericals during that particular time. You will understand it. Okay, for tomorrow do this particular, calculate the conversion factor. Okay, so today let us discuss a numericals in Abhijit Dandekar book. The questions are almost easy, guys. Some questions are somewhat difficult, not much difficult, it is somewhat tricky. Apart from that, the majority of questions are easy. Okay, guys, those students who have done these particular questions, give me your answer. Okay, first question. These are easy questions, guys. A petroleum reservoir has an areal extent of 20,000 feet square and the pay zone thickness H is equal to 100 feet, which has a uniform porosity of 0.35. We need to calculate the pore volume, which is easy. Pore volume is equal to AH5. Okay, that is 20,000 into 100 into 0.35, that is 700,000 feet square. It's an easy question. Let's go to the next one. Guys, this particular question is very, 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 very good question. Okay, this type of questions can be given in GATE examination. See, what they have given is, they have given somewhat like a heterogeneous reservoir. We need to find the overall porosity. Okay, if you can see here, guys, we need to find the porosity of the total system. Right now the porosity will be total pore volume divided by total bulk volume. See, the best method to do this particular question is, by breaking the whole thing into 6 parts. Okay, so this is 1, 2, and this is 3. Okay, so first we know that this particular one, height is HA and porosity is phi A. This one will be HA phi A. This one will be HB phi B, HB phi A, phi C HC and phi C HC. Okay, the total length is L. The total length is L. So this particular one will be L minus L1. This one will be L1. First guys, the bulk volume is given by, if you consider the width, given that it is assuming the unit formation width, the width of this particular formation is 1. So the bulk volume will be HA plus HB plus HC into L into 1 is the bulk volume. So let us calculate the pore volume. So the pore volume is equal to bulk volume into porosity. Let us go one by one guys. Consider this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5, this is 6. It will be PV1 plus PV2 plus PV3 plus PV4 plus PV5 plus PV6. So what is the pore volume of 1? Unit width. So 1 into HA into L minus L1. So L minus L1 into HA into phi A. PV2. L1 into HA into phi A. PV3. L minus L1 into HB into phi B. P4. L1 into HB into phi A plus PV5. L minus L1 into phi C into HC. PV6. L1 into HC into phi C. So what we will get is HA phi A, HA phi A, HA phi A, that will be L into HA phi A plus HB. So this one will be L minus L1 into HB phi B plus L1 into HB phi A. Next one, this one will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is this one will be L into phi C HC. Okay, by substituting all the values in the below one, we will get the appropriate answer, guys. So that one will be, the total pore volume will be equal to L. You need to convert everything into L. HA is see guys, HA is equal to HB is equal to 0.5 HC. Convert everything into HC, which will be easy. Okay, so L into 0.5 HC into porosity is 0.20. Wait a minute guys, let me do it neat. Guys, do write it in your numerical notes. L into 0.5 HC into 0.20 plus L minus 0.35 L, it will be 0.65 L. So 0.65 L into, it is HB. HB will be 0.5 into HC into, the porosity of B is 0.11 plus L1. 0.35 L. HB is equal to 0.35 Hc. 0.5 Hc. And the porosity of C is equal to 0.29. So the last one will be L 5C. So L porosity is 0.29 and Hc. This is the pore volume, guys. I am not doing the calculation part. I think you can do it. This is the pore volume. Bulk volume is given by, bulk volume is equal to 0.5 Hc plus 0.5 Hc plus, that is equal to 2 Hc into L. Bulk volume is 2 Hc into L. Okay, let me do it. 0.5 into 0.20 plus 0.65 into 0.5 into 0.11 plus 0.35 into 0.5 into 29 plus 0.29. So the pore volume is equal to 0.4785 into Hc into L, whereas bulk volume is 2 into Hc into L. So the porosity will be 0.4785 HCl divided by 2 HCl. 0.23743. That is 23.743%. Okay. For any type of question, guys, go from the basics. When they ask for the average porosity of the system, you need to find the total number of pores in the system divided by the total bulk volume. Okay. Do anybody have any doubts in this question, guys? It's a very easy question. Guys, give me the answer for this particular question. It's a very easy one. Can anybody say which particular method is this? The name of this particular experimental method. Sorry. Guys, can anybody say what is the name of this particular experimental method? No. No. If you can see the question. A 37.5485 grams, a clean and dry core, that is W dry, has been given. And this particular core sample has been flooded with crude oil, which is having a density of 0.75 gram per cc. That means this particular crude oil has been completely saturated in the core sample. So the saturated core sample is right now weighing 44.4178 grams. This particular method is fluid saturation method. We need to find the oil storage capacity, that is the pore volume. Pore volume is equal to the volume of fluid inside the core sample. Volume of fluid inside the core sample, which is weight of fluid divided by density of fluid. Weight of fluid can be calculated by weight saturated minus weight dry divided by density of fluid, which is equal to 44.4178 minus 37.5485 divided by 0.75. Okay. That will be 44.4178 minus 548 divided by 0.75. 9.16 cc is the answer. Okay. It's an easy question directly based upon the theory. Okay. Guys, can anybody say which particular method is this? First give me the method. The name of this particular method, experimental method, assuming a sandstone grain density is given. Density of matrix is given as 2.65 gram per cc. 2.65 means sandstone. We need to find the porosity. of 3-inch long sandstone. Length is given, width is given, breadth is given. So the bulk volume is also given 1.5 into 1.5 into 3-inch cube. And the grain weight dry is given as 250 grams. This particular method is rock density method. Okay, so using the density of the matrix and weight dry, we can find the grain volume 250 grams divided by 2.65 gram per cc. So the grain volume will be 94.34 cc. The bulk volume is equal to 1.5 into 1.5 into 3, 6.75 inch cube. Okay, you need to be able to convert this particular inch cube to centimeter cube. 1 meter is equal to 3.28 feet is equal to 100 centimeter. That means 1 feet is 12 inch. So 3.28 into 12 inch is equal to 100 centimeter. That is 1 inch is equal to 100 divided by 3.28 into 12. 1 inch is equal to 2.54 cc. This is the reason. In the first class, we have discussed majority of the unit conversions. It will be useful to you here. That means 6.75 into 2.54 whole cube cc. (110.612 cc). So the pore volume will be bulk volume minus grain volume. Pore volume is 16.27 cc. So the porosity will be 16.27 divided by 110.612. That is 14.7%. Okay. Again, I'm saying that for any particular porosity question, you need to use 3 formulas. Density is equal to mass by volume, whether it is for fluid or for the matrix, or buoyancy force is equal to V rho G, or equating total number of moles of gas, that is equal to PV is equal to nRT. Okay, this particular answer is 14.7%. Okay, I think this particular question we have done it, guys. That is 1 meter cube into 1 minus 5. Guys, am I audible to you? Okay, guys, we have done this particular one. Weight dry is equal to density into grain volume. Grain volume is equal to bulk volume into 1 minus 5. So we have completed it. Okay. Guys, this is a very, very good question. The helium porosity meter question. Okay, let us do this question. See, a helium porosity metric experiment was carried out on a 5-inch long and 1.5-inch diameter core. First, let us consider the bulk volume. Pi by 4, 1.5 whole square into 5 square. That is inch cube, guys. This is in inch cube. 1.5 square into 5 into pi divided by 4, 8.835 inch cube. If you can see, all the units are in cc. Let us convert it. See, 1 inch is equal to 2.54 centimeter. So that is equal to 2.54 whole cube. 144.8 cc is the bulk volume. And guys, if you can see here, reference chamber and sample chamber. Sample chamber is a chamber which has this sample in it. So let us draw it. So this is the sample chamber, this is the reference chamber. In this sample chamber, the core sample has been placed. Initially, both has the equal volumes. Okay, these particular ones has both has V1 is equal to 300 cc, V2 is equal to 300 cc, and the pressure in the first reference chamber is 300 psia, and in the sample chamber is 14.7 psia. Okay, first let us calculate the initial total number of moles. The total number of moles is equal to P1 V1 divided by RT plus P1 into V1 minus grain volume plus P2 into V2 by RT. This is the total number of moles in the before opening the valve. Okay. Next, the valve connecting the two chambers has been opened, and this particular pressure has been equilibrated, means it has been reduced. So the total pressure found in the common chambers is 185. So once it has opened, okay, what happened was the total pressure in the chambers has been decreased to 185 psia. The volumes did not change. The volume is same. V1 is equal to 300 cc. V2 is equal to 300 cc. So the total number of moles in this particular case is equal to P into V1 plus V2 minus grain volume divided by RT. So by equating, that is by equating the total number of moles, P1 into V1 minus grain volume plus divided by RT, P2 into V2 divided by RT is equal to P into V1 plus V2 minus grain volume divided by RT. RT will get cancelled. Let us see the pressures. P1 is 14.7. 300 minus grain volume. Guys, you don't have to care about the pressures because all the units will get cancelled. Here, all the pressures are in PSIA, the volumes are in CC. So everything will get cancelled out. So the pressure in this particular P2 is 300. P2 is 300. This is also 300. The pressure is 185. 600 minus grain volume. So from this we can calculate the grain volume. Okay. The bulk volume is given 144.8. From this we can calculate the porosity of the core sample. Okay. To solve any numerical in porosity, either density is equal to mass by volume, buoyancy factor is equal to V rho g, or equating the total number of moles. Again I am saying, don't remember the helium porosimeter formula. Just remember to equate the total number of moles. Okay. Equate the total number of moles in the system. That will be enough. So the grain volume will be, guys, 3.7 into 300 plus 300 square minus 185 into 600 divided by 14.7 minus 185. Grain volume is 97.416. So the pore volume will be equal to bulk volume minus grain volume, that is 114.8. 114.8 minus 97.416. 17.384, and the porosity is equal to, divided by 114.8, 0.15143 is the porosity of the total system. Okay guys, this is also an easy question, and do remember for porosity questions 3: mass by volume, V rho G, or equating the total number of moles. And the final question is this particular one. Guys, can anybody say, the first one is easy, the arithmetic average. Arithmetic average is equal to sigma phi divided by n. So that will be 40.1 plus 35.1 plus 39.3 plus 36.5 plus 29.1 divided by 5. Okay, that's understandable. What about the thickness weighted average? In this particular case, the thickness of the formation has not been given. How to do it? How to do the particular one? Guys, in this particular scenario, to find the thickness weighted average, phi n is equal to, instead of using the thickness, we can directly use the depth. Depth into porosity divided by sigma d. That's it. Sigma d into phi divided by sigma d. That will give you the thickness average. Okay, that means 3705.5 into 40.1 plus 3706.5 into 35.1, 3707.5 into 39.3, 3708.5 into 36.5, 3709.5 into 29.1 divided by 37 plus 3706.5 plus and so on 3709.1. Okay, this is how we will find the thickness weighted average porosity of the formation in this particular case. Okay, do anybody have any doubts guys up to now? Up to now, do anybody have any doubts in the questions in Abhijit Dandekar? I think there are only 7 questions. Okay, all the questions are easy. There is one other question. Wait a minute. I think I might have not copied it. Let me check it. Guys, wait a minute. Let me check it. Okay. The questions on CT scanning. Guys, it is not required. Okay, this is totally out of syllabus. Okay, this is totally out of syllabus. That's the reason I think I didn't done it. Okay, this particular one is totally out of syllabus. Okay, that is a whole another concept. Okay, guys. And see, in today's, after this particular class, I will give you another book, that is Zolotin. Okay, in this particular question, in this particular book also there is a chapter of porosity. After that particular chapter, there are some exercise questions. Okay, do those particular questions. In the next class, we will discuss those questions. Okay, I think it is chapter 4 or 5. I don't remember the exact chapter number. Okay, the chapter name is porosity. After that particular chapter, there is exercise. I will post it in the group. Okay, do those questions and write it in the numerical notes. Okay. So that is another assignment. Okay. So your assignment, guys, for tomorrow. So this particular one on the Zolotin book. Okay, Zolotin book. So let's go to the next chapter. Guys. Okay. Okay, the next concept is Klinkenberg effect, guys. Before starting it, let us briefly discuss what we have discussed in the previous class. Okay, let us briefly discuss the things that we have discussed in the previous class. Okay, the first one is permeability. Guys, first, is permeability a rock property or a fluid property? 1 or 2? Give an answer, guys. It's a very easy question. Good. What about hydraulic conductivity? Hydraulic conductivity of a particular formation is a rock property or is it a fluid property? It is both rock and fluid property. It is defined as K by mu. Okay. Next, permeability is a scalar, vector or tensor. Which is it, guys? Scalar, vector or tensor. It is a tensor. Okay, and you need to remember that between the vertical and the horizontal permeability, which is the largest one? Horizontal permeability is the largest one. Okay, vertical permeability is generally defined as the true or false. The permeability of the formation vertically, absolute vertical. Is it true or false? Permeability of a formation is generally defined as the vertical permeability of a formation is generally defined as the permeability in the vertical direction, in an absolute vertical direction. Is it true or false? It is false, not true. Okay, we need to see the bedding plane, not the absolute vertical, one. If you take a particular formation, guys, vertical permeability is not always in the vertical direction. Sometimes it will be in this particular direction also. It depends upon the shape of the particular bedding plane. Okay. Next, true or false? The permeability of the formation will change with different types of fluid. The permeability of let me repeat a particular question again. The absolute permeability of the formation will change with respect to the fluid inside the formation. True or false? Give it again, guys. Let me repeat it again. The absolute permeability of the formation will change with respect to the type of fluid in the formation. Is it true or is it false? Give your answer. This is a very important one. The absolute permeability will not change just because the fluid inside the formation is changing. Absolute permeability means the permeability at 100% saturation. Okay, that is a very important one. You need to remember it. Okay. The negative sign that is used in the Darcy's law will be applicable to all the cases. Is it true or is it false? the negative sign that is used in the Darcy's law will be applicable to all the cases. It is false. Okay, in normal well conditions, this particular one will not come into play. It depends upon the reference point. Okay. Next is, guys, the experiment conducted by the Henry Darcy is by which type of fluid? Oil, water or gas? Oil, water or gas? Water, good. And the sand system is placed in vertical or horizontal or in inclined direction. The sands that are placed is in vertical, horizontal or in inclined directions. In which particular angle is the sand system placed? It is in the vertical one. Good, good, good. Okay. While assuming the Darcy's law, or guys. While assuming the Darcy's law, which regime is highly preferred? Viscous, capillary or gravity? It's an easy one. While assuming the Darcy's law, which particular regime is required in the system? Viscous, capillary or the gravity? Viscous regime. Good, good, good. And we will assume it will mean we will assume that the core sample is in horizontal direction. Okay. Guys, this is actually a very good question. Think carefully. Okay, 1 Darcy, 1 millidarcy, 1 centimeter square. Between 1, 2 and 3, which is the largest unit? Between 1 Darcy, 1 millidarcy and 1 centimeter square, which is the largest unit? Or give me the unit from in ascending order. Give me the units is in ascending order. That is from the smallest to the largest unit. That is from smallest to largest unit. This is a very good question. Give me the units in the ascending order from the smallest to the largest. Okay, it's an easy one, guys. You need to think. Don't think very hard. Okay, just go from the basics. See, 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeter. In both of this case, meter is the highest one, centimeter is the smallest one. 1 Darcy is equal to 100 millidarcy. In this particular case, Darcy is the largest, millidarcy is the smallest. 1 millidarcy is equal to 10 to the power minus 15 centimeter square, or 1 centimeter square is equal to 10 to the power 15 millidarcy. That means centimeter square is the largest one and millidarcy is the smallest one. So millidarcy is the smallest, then Darcy, then the largest is centimeter square. After that, meter square if you want. Okay. Go from the, guys, try to understand the question and try to solve it in the easy manner. Don't think very hard. Okay. Use formulas or any other known methods to do it. Okay. Okay. Next is absolute, effective and relative. 1, 2 and 3. Guys, this is a very good question. In the, when a particular core sample has been taken to the laboratory, give me the order in which these variables are determined from first to last. When a particular core sample has taken to a laboratory, give me the order in which These variables are determined from the first to last. I have given this, I have explained this particular question in the yesterday's class also. Think guys, when a particular core sample has taken to the laboratory, what is the first variable that has been, that we will calculate, and the last in these three? See guys, when any particular core sample is taken to the laboratory, the first that is calculated is absolute permeability. Next is relative permeability. The next one that we will calculate is relative permeability after the effective. The calculation of effective permeability is very difficult in laboratory. That is the reason we have defined relative permeability. The main reason for defining the relative permeability is why in the laboratory the relative permeability can be calculated. Using relative permeability and absolute permeability, we will calculate the effective permeability. So the order is 1, 3 and 2. Okay. The order is 1, 3 and 2. Guys, which of the following has a dimensionless? Which of the following variable is dimensionless between 1, 2 and 3? It's an easy one. It is 3. Good, good, good. These are the things that we have discussed in the previous class. Guys, you need to be able to answer these questions because you have listened to all the concepts that I have taught you in the previous class. Okay. So if you find any particular question done wrong during the class quiz, that is right, the one that we have did now, write it separately in your notes. Okay. Or if you have any doubt, ask me. I will repeat that particular concept again to you. These particular quizzes are very important. Okay, every particular important point will be discussed during these particular quizzes. Okay. Up to now, do anybody have any doubts at all, guys? Any doubts? Small doubt also. So first, next we will discuss this Klinkenberg effect, guys. So let us study the Klinkenberg effect and we will stop the class today. Okay. It will take some time. So first write down the notes. The Klinkenberg effect. The Klinkenberg effect. Write it your notes, guys. We will discuss it. Okay. Okay. So first write it. This is a very, very important concept, and the understanding of these particular concepts is very, 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 very important. Okay. So first write it. Write down this particular one. We will discuss it. Write down the whole thing carefully. What is Klinkenberg effect? We will discuss it. Okay. Write it fast, guys. The Klinkenberg effect. So first write it, guys. We will discuss this. Again, I'm saying the class notes is very, very important. Okay, you will not remember this particular class after 4 or 5 months. Okay, by having a very good notes and writing every important point in that particular notes, you can revise this particular class easily. So try to have very, very, very good notes. And guys, the quizzes also. During the starting of the class, we will discuss the questions in the previous class, right? Write down all the important points in your notes. Okay, write down all those things in your notes also. Okay, it will help you. Okay, by having a small quizzes, we are covering the entire syllabus. Okay, any particular question that can be given in the class or in the gate examination, it might have covered in the quizzes. Okay, for every small topic, we are discussing every very small topic also. So it will be useful to you if you can write down all the questions that I have asked in the quizzes in the notes. If you are unable to write during the live class, after the class, go to your laptop or in the mobile. In your account, these particular classes will be visible to you. You can write it from that particular notes. Okay, write from that particular video. Okay. So let us start Klinkenberg effect. So firstly, guys, we already know that absolute permeability K will be same for oil, gas, water, or any particular fluid. If you are using one single fluid, the absolute permeability would be same as per the definition and the concepts that we have studied up to now. But in real situations, okay, in real situations, what is happening is whenever we are calculating permeability using gas, okay, or permeability using water or oil, what we are getting is permeability due to gas at the rate 100% is greater than permeability due to water at the rate 100% is equal to permeability of oil at the rate 100%. Okay, in the laboratories, whenever we are using gas, the permeability that we are getting is higher than the absolute permeability. Okay, whenever we are using this particular Q by A is equal to K by mu delta P divided by delta U to find the permeability of gas, the permeability of the formation using gas. The permeability that we are getting is very high when compared with the absolute permeability of gas when measured with water or oil. Okay, this particular phenomenon, that is the increased permeability of the gas, is explained by the Klinkenberg effect. This phenomenon is explained by Klinkenberg effect. Okay, so first let us try to understand what is happening in the pore spaces. See guys, consider this is a rock system. This is a single pore. Two pores are present in the rock system. Okay, whenever we are sending water or oil into the system, all the oil particles or oil molecules or water molecules are packed. Okay, or packed in such a way, all the oil particles will move synchronously from left to right. These oil particles will move from left to right. Okay, because they are tightly packed, because all the oil particles are with on side of each other. Okay, oil or water particles. Whereas whenever we are sending gas, the gases are loosely packed particles. That means gas molecules have very far from each other when compared with oil or water. Okay, and these particular oil molecules or the gas molecules will not just move in the horizontal direction. It will move like this in random direction. Okay, and these particular gas molecules will move in the random directions and slowly move towards the left to right. Okay, this is the movement of oil particles and gas molecules. Oil molecules are gas molecules, and there is one particular thing that you need to know, that is mean free path. Basically, the movement of the gas molecules, is due to the what can we say, bouncing of the pore spaces or against each other. That means, see guys, basically the gas molecules will move like this. Consider these are gas molecules. By interacting with each other, that means they will bounce off, the gas molecules will bounce off each other and they will move. Okay, due to the interaction between the gas molecules or the rock matrix, these particular gas molecules will move from one direction to another, one particular place to another particular place. Okay, the movement of the gas molecule is best explained by mean free path. How do you define the mean free path? A mean free path is defined as the distance traveled by a gas molecule between two interactions. Okay, that means, consider this guys. Consider this is a rock surface. Okay, this is a single molecule. This particular gas molecule has interacted with the rock surface and it has bounced off the rock surface. Okay, and after bouncing off the rock surface, it has interacted with another gas molecule. So this particular distance between, that is traveled between two interactions, is called mean free path. Okay, as the mean free path increases, the number of collisions between the gas molecules will decrease. Number of collisions between gas molecules will decrease. So the time taken for its movement from one location to another will increase. Guys, up to now, do anybody have any doubts? First, how the gas molecules are moving? The gas molecules are moving from one location to another location due to collisions. Okay, and the distance traveled by a single gas molecule between two collisions or between two interactions is called mean free path. If this particular mean free path increases, the number of collisions will decrease. Okay, for a particular time, the number of collisions will decrease and the time taken to reach from one location to another location will increase. Time will increase. Okay, so this is the basics, guys. These are the basics. Now let us come why the gas permeability is showing higher than the liquid permeability. And remember this, guys, Kg will be greater than KL when the capillary radius is less than or equal to mean free path. Okay, this particular Klinkenberg effect will come into play when the capillary radius or the capillary diameter is less than, not radius, just it is diameter, is less than or equal to the mean free path. So what happens was, guys, consider we are having a capillary whose diameter is less than the mean free path. Because it is less than the mean free path, the collisions will be very rapid. So what happens was, the gas molecule will collide with the rock surfaces at a very fast rate. Thus the movement The time to reach from one point to another point will decrease drastically. The time to reach from one point to another point will decrease drastically, thus showing higher permeability. Thus showing higher permeability. Okay, guys. And this particular effect, that is the increased permeability due to the collisions. Increased permeability due to the collisions of the gas molecules with the surface of the pore is called Klinkenberg effect, and this particular phenomena is called slippage. Okay, it is called slippage effect. Okay, due to this particular slippage, the velocity of the gas molecule will increase rapidly, thus increasing the gas permeability. Okay, guys, did you understand the concept behind the increased gas permeability? Okay, this is the reason. This is the reason that gas permeability is greater than liquid permeability. This is due to the slippage effect. And this slippage effect will come into play only when the capillary diameter is less than or equal to the mean free path of the gas. Okay, and as capillary diameter increases, Klinkenberg effect decreases. Okay, as the capillary diameter increases, the Klinkenberg effect decreases. Okay, guys, up to now, do anybody have any doubts? This is the reason whenever we are using gas, the permeability that we are calculating is showing higher values. Okay, so when the mean free path of the measuring gas is greater than the diameter of the capillary through which it traveling, okay, the collisions with the rock surface will increase drastically. Okay, thus causing the gas molecules to move at a very higher velocity. Okay, which causes the slippage of the molecules of the pore walls. Do anybody have any doubt? Shall I repeat this particular one again? If you want, I will repeat it. Okay. So guys, a particular scientist, Klinkenberg, has found that this particular increased permeability is a function of the mean, is a function of the average pressure in the system. Average pressure of the system. Guys, first write on this one. I will explain this. Write on this one. I will explain this. He found out that the Kg, that is the increased permeability or the gas permeability or the Klinkenberg permeability, this Kg is known as gas permeability or Klinkenberg permeability. Okay, is inversely proportional to Pm. It is the average pressure of the in the core sample. Okay, when he drawn a graph, he found out this particular formula, this particular graph has been obtained. Okay, so first write it, guys. We will discuss it. Okay, see, the Klinkenberg has found that the Kg is equal to, in his experiment he has found this particular equation. This particular equation, Kg is equal to Kl plus 1 by Pm. Kg is equal to Kl plus C into 1 by Pm. This is kg, this is 1 by pm, and the graph that he has obtained is, this is the graph of kg. Okay, and this one will be the liquid permeability. Okay, the difference, extra permeability due to slippage. Okay guys, so this is the equation that the Klinkenberg has found using different experiments. Okay, after doing several experiments, he has postulated that this extra permeability is due to the slippage of the gas molecules on the pore surfaces. Okay, and if you can see here, at very high pressures, when Pm is very high, that means when 1 by Pm is almost 0, the Kg is almost equal to KL. And this is the reason, this particular permeability, that particular Klinkenberg effect will not show in the reservoir. Okay, so do write it guys, because at very high pressure, the very high mean pressures, the Kg will be almost equal to KL, and the Klinkenberg, and this particular Klinkenberg effect will have zero significance or no significance in the reservoir, because in the reservoir the pressures will be very high. The mean pressure will be almost very high. That means 1 by Pm will be 0, almost 0. So the Klinkenberg effect can be neglected in the reservoirs. Okay, the Klinkenberg effect will play mostly a role in laboratory. Okay, in most laboratories, this particular Klinkenberg effect will be present. Okay. So guys, the Klinkenberg effect is important when the core has low permeability and low differential pressure. Okay, because if Kg is very greater than KL, okay, the flow rate, that means the inaccuracy will be very high. Okay, so if you are using gas to calculate the permeability, absolute permeability of the formation, we can calculate it using this particular correlation. Okay, guys, we will study gas permeability, through which we will understand it more clarity. Okay, the experimental methods to find the permeability, in that particular case you will understand it more clarity. Okay, for now just write it. And remember this, Klinkenberg effect plays a very important role. That means the maximum increase in permeability will be in low permeability reservoirs and low mean pressures. Okay, at high permeability reservoirs and at high pressures, the Klinkenberg effect will be of zero significance, because Kg will be almost equal to KL. Okay, and if you can see here guys, methane, ethane, propane, as the molecular weight of the gas that we are using is increasing, as the molecular weight of the gas that we are using increasing, it is coming closer to the liquid permeability. Okay, so you don't have to remember this graph, you can remember it. The higher the molecular weight, the closer it will be, the closer the line will be to the liquid absolute permeability line. Okay, higher the molecular weight, the closer the line will be to the absolute permeability line. Okay, so these are the main concepts that you need to remember for the Klinkenberg effect. Okay guys. Okay. Up to now, do anybody have any doubts regarding the Klinkenberg effect? Guys. The equivalent liquid permeability or absolute permeability. Klinkenberg permeability comes under the gas permeability. Okay. Okay, guys. Do anybody have any other doubts up to now? Okay. So that's it, guys. This is the main concept of Klinkenberg effect. Okay. The extra permeability is due to the slippage of the gas molecules on the surface of the pore spaces. Okay. This particular Klinkenberg effect will come into play when the capillary diameter is less than or equal to mean free path of the gas. Okay. And if you can see, the slope of the line is related to permeability, type of gas, and the average radius of the rock capillary. Okay. So that's it, guys. We will stop here for today. And see, guys, majority of students are not coming to the live class because there are examinations. So from 19th, that is from tomorrow until 22. Okay, no classes will be taken. Okay, no live classes. From 23rd onwards, we will start the classes again. Okay, 23rd April, we will start the classes again, and on 24th we will have the porosity examination. Okay. So in the next class, we will discuss the questions in zolotin, and if anybody have any doubts in this particular conversion factor, you can contact me, guys. From 19th to 22nd April, there will be no classes because several of our students have semester examinations. So from 23rd onwards, we will start the absolute live classes. Okay. And majority of students will attend that particular live classes. So that's it for today. We'll stop the class here right now. If anybody has any doubts, you can contact me through WhatsApp also, guys. That's it for today. Okay. That's it for today, guys. Bye. We'll start the class on 23rd April. Bye, guys. That's it for today.